Christmas is coming, and if you're like me, you like seeing all the decorations people put up this time of year. I like to decorate my space too, especially if it's full of handmade items that are full of memories. My family has a long history of making our own Christmas decor. I remember making things with my mom when I was a little kid, and I still like looking for new crafts that I can make for the holidays. This year I learned how to make these paper Scandinavian Christmas stars, and I'm going to teach you how to make them today too. First, here are the materials you're going to need. Paper, something to cut with, glue or double-sided tape, either one. And to hang them as ornaments, you'll need some kind of yarn or ribbon that goes with the paper you're using. Watch the video all the way through first, and then come back and watch it again with your supplies with me as your guide. For each ornament, you'll need to cut 4 strips of paper, and I like how it looks when you have 2 strips of one color and 2 strips of another color. That's how you get that really nice checkerboard look. But to make sure you don't get things mixed up, I'm going to replace a couple of these with some patterned wrapping paper. I'm still going to be calling them white strips and red strips, regardless of if they're wrapping paper or these plain cardstock strips. So we have 2 white strips and 2 red strips. The first thing that you need to do is fold all the strips in half. I found this part to be the most complicated for me personally, so I'm going to go slow and explain how it works. Grab 2 of these same color strips, in my case the red ones, and find the folded edges. You're going to want to have the folds facing opposite directions as you begin locking the strips together. So I have the fold of the top strip facing left and the fold of the bottom strip facing right. You can switch these and it will still work, but until you understand how these go together, just do what I do. Pick up the top red strip. The arms of that strip are reaching out toward the right. Take one of the white strips and locate its folded edge. You're going to want to turn it so its arms are reaching down towards you and the folded edge of the strip is pointed away from you. Then the white strip is going to clap down over the wrists of the red strip like a crocodile just grabbed both those arms from the side. Pick up your remaining red strip. This red strip wants revenge for what the white strip did to its butt. The second red strip is going to clamp down on those arms like a hungry, hungry hippo. But, whoa, the white paper strip has a friend too. You're going to orient the second white strip so the arms are reaching away from you, and it's going to complete the circle of clamping down by doing 2 things. First, it's going to snap down on the wrists of the second red strip just like a barracuda, and then it's going to snake its way through the loop in the first red strip. Carefully slide all of these strips until the folded edges are tucking up against the strips that they respectively tried to devour. I like to think at this point that they learned the folly of their ways and became friends, and this is just them giving each other a big group hug. All of these guys can still wiggle around, so next we're going to do a little weaving to lock them all in place. Every branch of paper that's sticking out has 2 layers. Lift the top layer of one of the strips and fold it up and over the main body of your star. Do the same thing with the next 2 strips going around in a circle. With the last strip, you will fold it over the same way, but you need to tuck the end underneath that first strip that you folded over. Now it's all locked into place. The last bit of the star is making all those strips into points. You can see that because of the way we used some of the strips to lock things together, 4 of them are shorter than the other 4. If your initial strips of paper are long enough, this won't be too much of a problem. But my paper cutter is only so big, and the longest sides of some of the papers I used were only 11 inches long, so I had 11-inch long strips to work with. This means that these shorter strips are so short, in fact, that they run out before I can fold them properly. That's actually okay, we just have to be a little clever here. Let me fast forward for a second and show you how the longer strips are done so you can see what would ideally happen, and then I'll come back to these shorter ones in case you run into this problem as well. Fold the strip you're working with away from the heart of the star so the angle is pointed from the middle outward. Now turn the star over. You'll make a fold that bends the paper back to create this triangle shape. See that line down the center of the triangle? Use it as a guide to fold the paper inward to create your final point. Now we have to tuck the end of the strip into this little pocket, and I have a trick for making that go super smoothly. You're going to trim the end of the strip in a specific way. You want to cut the little tab to be shorter than half of your star, and the corner that's closest to the center of your star should be curved like this. Now you can gently pull your little tab back and tuck it inside the pocket of paper underneath it. The shape of the tab means it will slide inside, no problem, and the length of the tab assures it won't just pop out. You don't even have to glue or tape them down. Repeat this with the other 3 longer tabs. Like I said before, it doesn't really matter what side you start on since there are little pockets on both sides of the star to tuck them into. Now let's rewind and see what to do when the paper strips are a little bit too short for all that. You will need taper glue for these. Basically, go as far as you're able in the sequence we just talked about. Fold the strip outward away from the center of the star, turn your star over, and fold whatever is left down to start that triangle. If you're like me, you may not even have enough paper for a full triangle. That is what the tape and the glue are for. I tucked whatever paper I had inside of the triangle, and then I used double-sided tape to secure it together. These points are definitely thinner than the other points, but you can't even really tell. If you're able to use longer strips, this won't be a problem, but sometimes we have to make do. Because it's actually the width of the strips that determines how big the stars are, you can get away with 11-inch long strips if they're skinnier, like in these tinier stars that I made with half-inch strips. With half-inch wide strips, being 11 inches long is almost overkill. There's a ton of extra paper left. These are already looking super cute, but to turn these into ornaments, we need to add something to hang them with. I used some striped yarn cut to about 8 inches long, folded in half, and knotted once with a basic knot. There are 2 ways you can orient your finished stars. Either the center will look like a square or it will look like a diamond. I like it both ways, so let me show you how I figured out how to hang them both ways. To hang it so it looks like a diamond, you can actually use this no glue method. Open up one of the points that was made with the longer pieces of paper. Just untuck the tab. See this tiny gap between the folds? You're going to tuck your knot into the triangle with the other end of your string going through this gap. Now you can refold the point and the string will stay where it is because the knot is holding it in place. I couldn't figure out a no glue way to hang it in the square orientation without it getting really complicated, so you will need glue or tape for this one. Look at the back of your star, which will be blank if you're using something like wrapping paper that only has one side printed. Locate the little pocket created by one of the paper strips, and then use glue or tape to secure the end of your yarn loop in place underneath this pocket. This makes the back of it look really clean. And now you're done. These look so cute grouped together, and you can actually get a completely different look depending on the types of paper you use. I even have this one little mutant that's made with 2 1-inch strips and 2 half-inch strips. Look at this little weirdo. Look at him dance. If you like to repurpose and recycle things like I do, then here's how you can get perfectly straight strips of paper using scraps of wrapping paper. If you have a fairly small sample of awkward wrapping paper left over, you can still get nice strips from it. First, I cut kind of a wonky rectangle with my scissors, and then I took it to my paper cutter to straighten things out. Once I cut one edge straight, I used it to make sure that my second edge, which is at a 90-degree angle from it, was also perfectly straight. Then I just started cutting the strips from there. You can also, of course, use a ruler to mark out the straight lines and then use scissors or an X-Acto knife to cut them if you don't have a paper cutter like this. I'm going to show you a couple of ideas for storing these safely so you can continue to use them Christmas after Christmas. But first, I want to tell you about another little ornament I'm excited about. I've designed some decorative Christmas houses that you can print at home and assemble yourself. And one of my favorite things about this set is they aren't just home decor. They can also be modified as little gift boxes or as ornaments for your tree. If you liked this paper StarCraft, why not make some little house ornaments that are also inspired by Scandinavian designs to go with them? You can buy the craft at studiohana.com/shop. Even paper ornaments can last for years if you take good enough care of them. So here are a couple of ways that I would suggest storing these. It helps that they're flat because they can stack together pretty compactly in a box or even in an envelope. Keeping them contained in something that will protect their edges like this will help them stay fresh for following years, so you can enjoy these for a long time. If you made it this far in the video, you probably enjoy crafting. I mean, same, obviously. If you'd like to listen to videos while you craft, may I recommend this one, which is all about building your creative confidence. And I'll see you in the next video. I don't know what that was.